Captain, before we step onto this money and choice island, tell me, what does buy make you feel when it means to get something by paying for it, to accept or believe an idea, and to gain something through effort, sacrifice, or action? Meaning 1. To get something by paying money for it. Used when someone gives money in order to take a product or service. Example, they went to the harbor market to buy fresh fruit before sunset. Common use: buy food, buy a ticket, buy from a shop. Buy fresh fruit, meaning 2. To accept, believe, or be persuaded by an idea or story. Used when someone believes what another person says or agrees with an explanation. Example, no one in the room would buy his excuse for arriving so late. Common use: buy an excuse, buy the story, not buy it. Don't buy that. Meaning 3. To gain something through effort, sacrifice, or a particular action. Used when an action brings time, safety, freedom, or another advantage. Example, the quick repair bought the crew a little more time before the storm. Common use: buy time, buy safety, buy yourself a chance. Buy more time. Buy most commonly means getting something with money, but it is also very common in a figurative sense. People can buy an idea, a story, or an excuse when they believe it. It can also describe gaining time, safety, or opportunity through action. Choose wisely what you take into your hands and mind, Captain. Carry buy for the act of paying to receive, for the belief that lets an idea enter, and for the effort that wins a little more time or hope as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this discomfort and voice island, tell me, what does complain make you feel when it means to say that something is wrong or unsatisfying, to report a problem officially, and to show pain, difficulty, or unhappiness through words or sound? Meaning 1. To say that something is wrong, annoying, or unsatisfying. Used when someone expresses dislike, discomfort, or dissatisfaction. Example, they complained about the cold food after the long trip. Common use: complain about, complain too much, complain loudly. Complain about cold food. Meaning 2. To report a problem officially or formally. Used when someone tells an office, business, or authority about bad service, damage, or unfair treatment. Example, she went to the harbor office to complain about the broken signal light. Common use: complain to the manager, complain formally, complain about service. Complain about service. Meaning 3. To show pain, difficulty, or unhappiness through words, sound, or tone. Used when a person, machine, wind, or object seems to express strain, suffering, or discomfort. Example, the old door complained in the wind as the storm grew stronger. Herregfur. Common use: complain of pain, complain softly, boards complain in the wind. Complain in the wind. Complain most commonly means saying that something is wrong or unsatisfying. It can also mean making an official report about a problem, especially in service or workplace situations. In a more descriptive use, it can describe sounds or voices that seem to express pain, strain, or unhappiness. Use your voice with care and clarity, Captain. Carry complain for the words that show something feels wrong, for the formal report that seeks a fair solution, and for the strained sound that reveals hidden discomfort as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this service and trust island, tell me, what does client make you feel when it means a person or company that receives professional services, someone under the care or advice of a specialist, and a person or system that uses the services of another system and technology? Meaning 1. A person or company that receives professional services. Used for someone who pays for or uses help from a business or professional. Example: the designer met a new client to discuss the harbor project. Common use: new client, important client, client meeting. Client project meeting, meaning 2, someone under the care, guidance, or advice of a specialist. Used for a person receiving help from a lawyer, therapist, consultant, or other expert. Example: the counselor spoke gently with the client about the next steps. Common use: support a client, client needs, client care. Client care first, meaning 3, a person or system that uses the services of another system in technology, used in computing for a device, EP, or program that connects to and receives service from another system. Example: the mobile client connected to the server before the data appeared. Common use: client device, client EP, client server system. Client connected. Client most commonly means a person or company receiving professional service. It is also often used for someone who is being advised, supported, or guided by a specialist. In technology, it has a different but related meaning: a device or program that receives service from another system. Read the service receiver, Captain. Carry client for the person or institution receiving a service, for the person receiving expert support, and for the technical structure that uses another system's service as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this throw-and-shape island, tell me, what does cast make you feel when it means to throw something, to choose actors for roles, and to create a shape by pouring material into a mold? Meaning 1, to throw something. Used when someone throws a line, net, glance, shadow, or another thing outward. Example: she cast the fishing net wide across the quiet water. Common use: cast a net, cast a line, cast a shadow. Cast the net, meaning 2, to choose actors for roles in a play, film, or show. used when people are selected to perform particular parts in a production. Example: the director cast her as the captain in the harbor play. Common use: cast an actor, well cast, cast in a role. Cast for the role. Meaning 3, to shape something by pouring liquid material into a mold. Used when metal, plaster, or another substance is poured and hardened into a form. Example: they cast the new metal anchor part in the workshop. Common use: cast in metal, cast a mold, cast a figure. Cast in metal. Cast is a flexible word with several very different meanings. It can describe throwing something outward, choosing performers for parts, or shaping an object by pouring material into a mold. In English, it also appears in many set expressions like cast a shadow or cast a vote. Follow the motion, the choice, and the making, Captain. Carry cast for the throw that sends something outward, for the role given to the right performer, and for the shaping force that turns liquid material into lasting form as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this protection and delay island, tell me, what does buffer make you feel when it means something that protects by standing between two things? A temporary storage area in a system, and a period or space that gives extra safety, time, or distance. Meaning 1, something that protects by standing between two things. Used for a person, object, or area that reduces harm, pressure, or conflict by staying in the middle. Example: the trees acted as a buffer against the strong sea wind. Common use: buffer zone, buffer area, act as a buffer. Buffer zone ahead. Meaning 2, a temporary storage area in a machine or system. Used in technology for a place where data, sound, or information waits for a short time before moving on. Example: the audio paused because the buffer was full. Common use: data buffer, memory buffer, buffer delay. Buffer delay. Meaning 3, extra time, space, or distance added for safety or ease. Used when someone leaves room in a plan or between things so problems can be handled more calmly. Example: they left a time buffer before the storm reached the harbor. Common use: time buffer, safety buffer, leave a buffer. Time buffer built in. Buffer can be a noun and sometimes a verb, but it most often means a protective middle layer, a temporary holding space in a system, or extra room added for safety and flexibility. The core idea is the same in all three meanings. Buffer helps absorb pressure, delay, or risk. Leave room for safety and calm, Captain. Carry buffer for the shield that softens impact, for the waiting space that keeps systems moving, and for the extra margin that protects the journey when the sea turns uncertain as we sail to the next island.